Coach Mike Heimerman, the Demon and Lady Demon track and field coach, taking 17 athletes, a school record, down to Jacksonville to the East Regionals. Coach, talk about, first of all, that number, that achievement, that many qualifiers.
Well, first of all, that's a lot. I think it's leading our conference. So that's a huge accomplishment for my athletes and my assistants who work with those athletes to have that many going. So it's just a huge honor and accomplishment for Northwestern State.
And then just to put in perspective what they qualified for, obviously the cream of the crop.
Correct. This is it's the regional / first round of the NCAA championships. So they only take the top 48 in each event out of the East region. There's only 2 regions in the United States. They kind of split it right down the center. So they take 48 into the East and 48 into the West. So they're already in the higher top percentile of their event, just being in the top 48. And then after this event, the top 12 from this event qualifies for the finals that are in Eugene, Oregon, and they only take 12 from each. So when you make the next step, that means that you're in the top 1 percentile of all NCAA in your event.
Pretty amazing. And you've got quite a few, probably roughly a dozen, who have a very good shot of getting to Eugene.
And that we do. It's another accomplishment for the athletes and by my staff, my assistants, Wesley Miller and Adam Pennington, to have this many talented kids that have that legitimate of a shot to make it to the next for this step and to the next level.
All right, talk about your seniors, and there's several of them going down there.
Yeah, we'll start off on the men's side, which you have the twins, Aaron and Emmanuel Williams. They're both indoor All-Americans in their respective events in the long jump and triple jump. Both those guys could make it in both events, and I wouldn't be surprised. They've been really consistent this year, even going through some injuries and even with working through some of the meets training-wise. Both those guys are in great positions to go on to the next, into Eugene and to become an All-American. So it'll be exciting to watch them at Jacksonville. And, right now it's just trying to make that top 12 and move on. So I won't see too many fireworks, but I'll see enough to hopefully make it to that next step. And then on the women's side, we have Portia Thomas in the triple jump also, Brianne Denson, and then we have Rochelle Bassard in the discus. So in the triple jump, Portia's been 6-time conference champ. She knows what the pressure has been like all year, and I know she slipped a little bit in the rankings this last couple weeks, but she's been jumping at a high efficiency, right close to the school record the last couple meets, that I wouldn't be surprised if she topples the school record. And if she does that, she's definitely going to move on to the next round. And right on her heels is her teammate Brianne Denton, and she's been coming on here strong. I know she had an ankle injury right there at the conference meet, but she's trained through it and rehabbed it, and I wouldn't be surprised if she could maybe get a little bit further, and she'll be right there maybe making that next jump to the national meet also. And then Rochelle Bassard, our staple in the throws. Right now we're just concentrating on her one event. She's been a team player and throwing the shot and the hammer all year, her 4 years here, but now we're just concentrating on the discus. And she's had a rough conference meet, but I think she's turned it back around, and she's ranked 13th right now, and we're just worried about trying to throw far enough to make it onto the next level. But those seniors right there have been a tremendous workforce for us, got our program back to where we want it, and we're close to where we want it. We're not quite there. We want to be on top, but got us headed in the right direction. And those young kids have done a phenomenal job to get us there, and they all have a legitimate shot of making it onto the next round.
And you've got several underclass athletes who are top of the class when it comes to performance. Boy, your sprinters, you just keep going down the list of people who are going to be around for a while yet.
Yeah, Micah Larkins, Amir James, DeShaylin Jones. I actually left out one senior, and I'm going to shoot myself for this, but then we got Jermika McBride, who's in the 1 and 200, the female athlete of the year for the Southland Conference, in the 1 and the 2. But she's got a great shot. She's been doing nothing but running faster and faster each week. So I wouldn't be surprised she gets in the mix again after having a little break this last week, after we probably worked her a little too hard at conference, that she could make some noise. But as I said, Micah, Amir, little Bernicia Payton, and I know I'm leaving some out with the 4x1. And then we have a junior in the men's triple jump with Zaquan Porter. Zaquan's got an outdoor left, and he's right now at 51 feet, and that's a kid that only jumped like 45 in high school, and he's come, he's worked into his own. He's worked very, very hard. Coach Wes Miller's done a phenomenal job with them. And, these are all kids that have, just all Louisiana kids or East Texas guys, or kids that have come in and bought into the program and have done a phenomenal job.
And there's one kid who's not from anywhere around here who has a national championship to say.
That we do. George Flaviano, and that's, how do I leave him out, as an underclassman. He's a junior. He won the junior national title as a freshman at South Plains. And if it wouldn't have been for a tremendous headwind at conference, I think he would have broke the school record at conference and probably ran a second faster. And he's going to run a fast race because he's going to have to run a fast race to move on. But I wouldn't expect anything else out of George other than full out. And he's a phenomenal young man, as all these men are and women are. But he's just a joy to have around and joy to work with. And Coach Adam Pennington's done a fine job with him and with the rest of the sprinters. And it's just been a fun year to be around this group.
Ashley Aldridge, I know, has been very busy away from track and field, being a mom, working. Hasn't been able to train as much as you'd like, but she's certainly capable of getting back to the national meet for a second straight year.
Correct. Well, another senior I leave out. Boy, you just throw me under throw me behind or in front of a camera. I just forget everything. But another one, she kind of tweaked on her elbow a little bit at conference, and she's been out from throwing the last week and a half, 2 weeks. But she's been doing her lifting and running and trying to let that the elbow calm down a little bit from inflaming it. And you know, she's had this problem before, and she knows how to work through it, and it just needed to calm down. And you know, last year she wasn't ranked kind of high to go in, and she's ranked a little higher this year. But you know, she's been to the national meet. She didn't finish off quite why she wanted to last year. So you know, she's got the mental game as well as the physical game. So I wouldn't be as surprised if she shows up and throws far. And then her little teammate, the sophomore, with Kelsey Frank, you know, Kelsey's had some phenomenal practices. As long as the nerves don't get her too much, it'd be because she lets the nerves get to the best of her. But as everybody does from time to time. But she's been showing up here lately. Last year she started off on fire and then kind of fell apart at the end of the season. And this year's kind of been the other way around. So, you know, in the javelin, we have a couple girls that have a legitimate shot. And just like just about every kid that we have going, out of 17 athletes, I could say almost every one of them has a realistic shot of making it to the second round or to the finals in Eugene, Oregon.
And what helps that cause is all but the freshmen almost have been there before.
Just about. Out of the group going, I think maybe DeShalen, and then of course a couple of the new ones, DeShalen and Micah, I think didn't go last year. Everybody else went. Ty hasn't been. Ty went his freshman year though, and George and Jermika. But then they both junior college athletes that have been at the national meet, and they know what this little bit of this pressure feels like. So that does help having some experience where not everybody's going to feel like a newbie or a rookie, and you know, we should go out there and have some fun.
And these meets also are why you go to Texas Relays, why you go to LSU, go to the big meets, big schools.
Yeah.
That scene really helps too.
Correct. You know, when you go to the big meets, the kids have to, you know, get used to the pressure of with the bigger schools there. I know we're a small budget school, but when a lot of our track meets are at, you know, Texas Relays or you know, at Oklahoma or Houston or LSU, big schools like that, Ole Miss or Alabama. And you know, we go to those meets so we can perform with some of the best in the country. So it kind of gets us used to going to the regionals or even the national championships.
Well, good luck in Jacksonville.
Thank you.